Yeah, this is way better. Keeping filament dry sucks, but this makes it less sucky, for sure. Welcome back to KeoPrints. Today we're gonna hop right into something, a product review. What are we looking at? The PolyDryer. How do you dry your filament? How do you store your filament? This way is better. Let's look. The Polymaker PolyDryer is actually a product that I decided to buy with my own money. So this isn't sponsored, they didn't send me this unit, but that's besides the point. I thought it was a cool product and I wanted to get to know what the heck is it all about. So a typical filament dryer is just kind of a box that has a fan and a heating element. You set your temperature and you cook it for 6 hours usually, and then you have fresh, dry filament ready to be printed. So this is fine generally, but we need an upgrade for two big reasons. The first thing is we're getting ready to explore some fancy filaments. The polycarbonates, nylons, carbon fiber, and fiberglass reinforced filaments, they all soak up water like crazy, dude. Like crazy. And in preparation of one of these videos, we had to open 4 spools that are super hygroscopic. That means we got 4 spools that we're actively printing with, all exposed to the moisture all at the same time. We need to store these suckers somewhere. Now, these filament bags are fine in that they keep it contained and keep the moisture out. But if you look at like this TPU, for example, I've got a couple stuffed in there and you can tell it's kind of crowded, they don't stack well, and generally they suck and they're actually not fine and I don't like them. The problem I have with these bags is as soon as you open the bag, you're exposing your filament to moisture again, even though you just spent this effort drying it and storing it in a moisture-free bag. Once the filament is dried and put in the bag, in order to use it, you have to open the bag and disturb that environment, exposing your plastic to your Midwestern end of summer humidity. Basically start the process all over again. Furthermore, when you get done drying your filament, you take it out of the filament dryer and you put it into one of these bags. The point from filament dryer to bag also exposes your filament. So alternatively, you could just store your filament inside of the filament dryer, which is what I've done with this roll of ASA that I've been using lately. And that works fine. If you find yourself with more than 1 or 2 spools that need dried, or if you need to use that spool and print it from the box, or anything like that, you're gonna run out of room. It's not a good long-term solution, storing it in the dryer. But beyond the logistical concerns, the other reason that we needed a new dryer was that this one that we have just doesn't go hot enough. It goes 40, 45, or 50 degrees, and you can set the time to cook it, and that's about it. And we just needed a little bit more granular control over the temperature, as well as the time frames to dry some of these filaments. As we open the box, we're met with a PTFE tube, some instructions, and the dryer box. Everything needed for this is inside of the dryer box, and it seems to be packaged very efficiently and securely. The top of the box has a very good seal on it, a seal so good that it's a struggle for this weak boy to pop off of there. But as we look around the lid, we see that there's a plug on it to direct filament and print directly from the box, while the lower portion of the box also has a plug on a different side, so you can send the filament up or forwards or do whatever you want. One thing about both of these plugs that is a pretty good attention to detail piece is the way that they're engineered. The cap that goes into the rubber surround has an indent in it, and that's there so you can push your filament from the inside of the box into that indent and it'll grab the end of your filament. You push your filament into there and then close the box. Your filament's dry, everything's fine, but it's time to go print. What are you gonna do? You pull the plug, it pulls the filament out, and you can print straight from the box. That's some thinking, man. That's some thinking. Below that are the 2 airlocks. Now, these pieces are the parts that intrigued me when I was looking into this product. These are 2 plugs that you put in the box when it's not on the dryer base, being used as a dryer. This helps seal the filament that you just dried. This is a small touch, but I feel like it's one of the bigger ones because it allows you to dry your filament, keep it in the box without introducing it to moisture, and then also print from that box. The last little box has the hygrometer, a little container, and then some desiccant. The hygrometer lives on this little container, and that's where you dump the desiccant. And when you pull the little tab from behind the hygrometer, it begins to read the humidity levels. Moving on to the dryer base itself, it's pretty simple. It's a black box that has 2 outlets for fans, and this is where the heating element and the fans are housed. This is how the air circulates inside of the box. The other thing on the dryer base that I really do appreciate is this sticker here. It pretty easily lays out your different filaments, your common ones at least, as well as recommended dry times and power levels to use with that machine. So no more quick Google to see what I need to dry nylon at. It's just on the thing. The front of the unit is pretty basic. It's got 4 buttons: your start-stop button, your power level selector button, as well as your time selectors plus and minus. Your power supply plug comes with the body as well as the prongs separated. This is so the manufacturer can make the same body and then just ship out different prongs that are region specific. Sometimes these adapters are dodgy. Polymaker seems to have done well because this one doesn't have any play in it, and it makes a very satisfying snap when you click her together. You like that? Yeah, you like that. The container that holds the silica beads has a pretty good lid on it, and it feels like it's probably going to hold reliably and not fail or spill these everywhere like I did. So a quick reference of the instruction manual verified that I do in fact need to crack this little baggie open. All of my life we're meant to throw these away, not to eat them, not to leave them in reach of pets or children. Certainly never to open them. But here we are. Today we open it up. It looks as though they include the exact correct amount of silica to fill this little container. No more, no less. I think that's a pretty good deal here. Once that box is filled up, you can put it inside the dryer box. There's 2 little locating tabs. It just slides in very simply and seems to be held in there securely. And again, I didn't spill a single bead because I'm known for my steady hands. With the airlocks removed from the bottom of the unit and the dryer box filled with its desiccant and hygrometer, we can set it on the dryer base, load it up with some filament, and let it live its life of service, protecting plastics from the evil moisture that would seek it out constantly. From there, it was as simple as referencing the drying chart, choosing your power level and your time by using the buttons on the front, and push and play. Once that spool's been cooked up nice and tasty, you pop the airlocks in there and you set it aside, and when you're ready to print with it, she's dry and ready, baby. Now it is worth mentioning that the dry box simply sits on the dryer base. It doesn't press in, there's no O-ring fit, no gasket or anything like that. It simply sits there with gravity, and that would be a point of moisture ingress if you were to bump that or take that off without putting the airlocks in immediately. I guess this isn't a huge deal if you're actively using the base or consistently have it sitting on the base, but just keep in mind if you do need to take it off the base, pop those airlocks in there quick. Otherwise, all the moisture that you just baked out of the filament may have a way right back in. Now for the spool holder. This little blue piece of plastic didn't quite make sense to me. I looked at the instructions, I looked on their site, I tried to look everywhere to get a little bit of reference, and it shows like you're supposed to install this with every spool. But this roll of ASA carbon fiber that I installed in the box didn't quite fit with the roller. The spool holder didn't allow this spool of filament to contact the rollers at the bottom, which probably wouldn't be a problem. But for me, I just preferred to leave the thing out of there and have it sit on the rollers at the bottom. Hey, let me know in the comments if I'm just ignorant and I'm using this spool holder wrong, or if it just doesn't suit that specific spool. I could check with other spools, but I'm just not gonna use it instead, I think. To go along with the dry box and the base that I purchased, I got an additional dry box. That way I can be storing one spool that I've dried already, and not have that box tied up, still have the flexibility to use an additional box to dry and store other spools. Because boy, do we got spools. And there it is. That has been the Polymaker PolyDryer. If you need a good drying solution or a good storage solution, or both, this is probably one you need to check out. Totally worthwhile in my opinion. Again, this video, it's not sponsored by Polymaker. It's not sponsored by anybody except for me and Corey, but someday we'll get there with your help. With that in mind, if you would like to support the channel, which we would appreciate, go ahead and click the link in the description if you want to get your own Polymaker supplies. We've got one for the dryer itself, or any of their filaments, anything they have to offer. Check out Polymaker stuff, but use our link, please. Hey, thanks for supporting everything we're trying to build here at KeoPrints. My kid just woke up from his nap, so I'm gonna go pick him up now. If you like this video, check out some of our other videos. If you have comments, please comment. What drying solution are you using? Have you used the PolyDryer before? What do you think of it? Let me know in the comments. Let's see if you can see that. This is how I can tell if I'm in frame or not. Bye.